Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
It's your brother, Great Millstone Charlotte. Come with another Monday night live lesson through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. I want to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahasham,
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh,
Bahasham,
Hashem,
Rakah,
Kodash.
Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
So this evening, as you can see by the title, we're just it's a land back off of a lesson that Elder Yashawamba did, going into idolatry and how integration has always led to idolatry, right? And now we're gonna get that word, but if you could get that precept, priest, because
Yep.
you see these things have always repeated themselves, man.
hmm This is Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. It says that have been, it's like the thing that have been, that is that which shall be, and that which is done, that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. I'm going to read this in the LT for you too.
Okay,
It
okay,
says, history merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing is under the sun. Nothing under the sun is truly new.
exactly, right. Everything we see taking place right now has taken place in regards to our forefathers, man. Right? All these spirits that we see out here are spirits that were back then as well. And all
hmm
these customs that we see taking place are just the modernized, revived versions of these customs of this idolatry, man. And the integration is no different. You know,
Right.
that Elder Yashawama went into in his lesson, right? Talking about how Jake was integrated and the taboos that Esau had, right, in their culture, and we can get that word in the etymology. But those taboos were things that Jake never took part in, man. And this goes all the way back, right, to the time of the garden, and we're going to touch on the time of Judges because the Jake allowing themselves to be integrated and combined with those heathen is the reason why we see the idolatry at the levels that it is today. Because whether you go from then, you go into the Hellenization during the Greek period, you go into the Romanization, right? All these things are various forms of integration of Jake, partaking in these heathen customs, man.
Right. You want the definition of taboo?
Kind of, we can get that.
All right. So this is taboo in the Free Dictionary. It says a ban or inhibit inhibition resulting from social custom or emotional aversion. It says a prohibition, an object, word, or act protected by such prohibition. It says forbidden from use, approach, or mention.
Things that are forbidden, right? When you go into the etymology, it talks about uh, forbidden, unclean, or cursed, right? So all these things are unclean to us. That's why the scriptures tell us to be ye separate, right?
Hmm?
Integration is a sin, man, because when you integrate into something, you're combining yourself into those ways. You're allowing yourself to be partakers in those customs. And as we're reading this, the commentary on Judges first chapter, this is going to go into how, Jake, for their disobedience, began to be intermingled with those heathen, man, those Canaanites out there.
Right. Because if I could make a quick mention, because like you said, we were never supposed to put or mingle ourselves amongst the different nations. Man, the Lord was never with integrate. I said the word again.
Integration.
Integration. All right. That was a ploy that was set up during the civil rights era. All right, to make you Jakes feel like you needed to be included amongst the rest of the world. But ultimately,
Right.
Esau understood that this was always, in Jake's spirit to want to be like the rest of the nations. But I got real quick. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse. I started at verse 5. It says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judge." Matter of fact, no. Before I even get this, let me get Amos 3 real quick. This is Amos 3 and 3. It says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" All right.
Mhm.
So in order for somebody to pretty much be together with somebody else, man, you have to be in agreement. All right. And we know that the Lord separated the nations according to what was that Genesis the 10th chapter, I believe.
Mhm.
According to the flood, when the flood happened, and then you know You had Nimrod come later and pretty much tried to build a Tower of Babel where he wanted to bring all the people together, because that was the first attempt at integration. All right, to where he wanted to bring everybody together. And what the Most High said, he looked down and he was like, "Look, these people want to be one." So he sent the angels out to confuse the nations. All right, which showed the Lord was never with everybody coming together, man. So it
Hmm.
says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" And the answer is no. All right, and why? Because the Israelites, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, you were set up to be different from the rest of the nations, man. And this is why Deuteronomy
Hmm.
4 and 5. It says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that ye shall do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great people," it's like this great nation, "is a wise and understanding people." And what makes us a wise and understanding people? Because we have a covenant with the God of the world, the God of the universe, man. We have a personal relationship, all right, via a covenant that we made going back to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all right, that separated us from the rest of the nations, man. Okay, and none of the other nations can claim what we're claiming, man. All right,
Hmm.
and this is the proof. This is Psalm 147:19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, and his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. So there, right there, is the separation. Okay,
Yep.
because if everybody was supposed to be together as one, then the Lord would be dealing with everybody, like the world is trying to say. But universalism is not scriptural. All right, Catholicism, which pretty much universalism, you know, that's not biblical. All right, the Lord separated the nations, man. So it says, "He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise you, the Lord." Right. So none of these nations know the ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Only the Israelites, man. So when were given this covenant, we had specific instructions to follow. All right, which made us, over the rest of the nations, man. All right. So
Yep.
much so that they know that. All right. So back in Deuteronomy 4:7, "For what nation is there so great, who have the Most High so nigh unto them, as the Lord your power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that have statutes and judgment so righteous, as all this law which I set before you this day?" So these nations know that we are a special people, because, like I said, that covenant that we have with Yahweh Bashim Shah sets us above everybody on the earth, man. All right.
Yep.
So for you to want to, lower yourself and try to be one with the rest of the world, that's really you playing yourself, man. Because the
Hmm.
Lord set you above everybody. It's not you're not meant to be one with the world, man. Okay, you got it, bro.
God. God. Very well said. We're seeing, like you made mention of the Tower of Babel, right? We're seeing that, take place all over again, man. Right? Them
Right.
setting up that idol, which is ultimately going to be the MOTB, right? But their whole agenda is to bring the world into one accord, man. Right? They're trying to integrate everybody together, right? If you could get that, I think I sent the integrate definition for the Edom online.
Let me look. Hold on. Yep. So I guess taking all day. Hold on. You want to speak real quick while I load it?
Okay, right? Because what we're seeing take place in modern society is a new version, right? A revamped version of, like we said, that Romanization, that Hellenization, right? That the integration of the '60s, the '50s and '60s, man. Right? We're seeing all these things take place again, and we watched them. They happened in the garden, right, where the sons of God took part in those heathen customs and fell for those women and their ways. We watched it. That's what we'll bring up in Judges, right? Jake continued to fall into the ways of the heathen, and now we're seeing it all over again at an even greater magnitude, right, in today's society, man. As
That's right.
Priest may mention, Jake is seeking, right, uh, to be a part of these ways, to be a part of these customs, right, and they've made it enticing to them, right, by first and foremost removing their hedge by taking away their ability to know their true heritage, man.
hmm So this is intricate. integrate, so like you in the Edamon online, it says to render something whole, bring together the parts of, to make whole, whole, complete, figuratively, literally, uh, literally untouched, untainted, upright.
God. And like I said, to bring together the parts of, man. They're trying to bring everything into one state of mind, right? You brought up that scripture where it says can two walk together except they be agreed, right? When you go into that word walk, it goes into a manner of life, man.
Mm,
So can two exist in the same in a manner of life except they agree on that same manner of life? That's why we see one way of life dominating the earth right now through Esau Edom and his practices, man, and we're about to see that be done away with, and we're going to watch a righteous way of life dominate the earth, man. Right? So in a way, the world is about to be integrated into righteousness, right? But right now we're seeing wickedness that's leading into all this idolatry, right? In the ways of these various heathen practices, man.
God, I got something for you real quick.
Okay.
This is Second Corinthians 6:14. It says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
Hmm.
But what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion have light with darkness? And what concord have Hamashiach with Belial? Or what part have he that believeth with an infidel?"
Hmm. God, there's no combining, man. It's like oil and water, right? These things don't mix, right? That's why you see the clash happening right now as we speak, right? That's why you
Mhm.
see, the men of the Lord separating themselves from this place, right? We're completely, what's the word? Uh, I can't think of it right now, but we're separated to the point where we hate everything about this place, man.
Yeah,
It's because we see the results of tying yourself to this society, man. We see, right, the idolatry that you have to take part in, man. We see the witchcraft and enchantments that take place, right? We
mhm,
understand that being a part of this world is separating yourself from your power, man.
that's right. I think the word you were trying to look for, I think it would be like adverse.
Hmm.
Because we're completely, different from the rest of the world. Because here it is, like scripture say, why trimmest thou ways to seek love? You know, you have to literally, sell yourself short to make yourself, one with this world, man. All right, you can't
Yep,
truly be yourself, and that's why Jake, is unhappy. All right, here it is.
exactly,
You did everything to try to, make America happy. All right, we go through all the history. Like you said, the Elias Shawam did the video. Going into all the different things that we've done since being in America, trying to trim your ways to seek love. And what has it shown for Jake? Not shit. All right,
right.
because we're not supposed to be one with these people, man. All right, we're supposed to have
Mhm.
our own land. All right, our own, customs, our own culture. We have our own way of doing things, man. But when you
Mhm.
try to put that aside to try to please everybody else, man, that never is never going to make you feel whole, man. And that's what Yahweh Shem Shai is doing with us, is separating us from this world, all right? Because segregation, that was actually a good thing, all right? But
Exactly,
see, Esau, through his witchcraft, made that seem like that was the most wickedest thing, all right, for so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans to be separated from the Edomites, man. But when you look at how we operated before we got integrated with these damn devils, we were thriving. All right,
exactly.
in your sports, we had the ABA and the Negro League, which was doing way better than the NBA and the MLB. All right, Jake had flourishing, communities which we always go into, such as the Black Wall Street, Wilmington, things such as that. All
Yep,
right, hey, Jake was they was doing their thing, man, and Esau he brought in integration as a means to stop the growth because now we're dependent on these other nations, man, instead of doing the things on our own, man.
exactly. Hey, he wanted you to live like him, right?
Yeah,
And he knows that in doing so, you can't prosper, right? Jake
yep,
has some level of prosperity because they were separated from these heathen, man. But as soon as you
yep.
start trying to do what they do, that's when you see Jake in the destitute state that they're in right now, man.
That's right. I gotta
Could
look
you
up this
read?
verse.
Okay, okay. I was gonna ask you to read down, but go ahead, slide.
Yeah, spirit kind. Verse 16. And what agreement have the temple of the Most High with idols? For ye are the temple of the living power. as Yahweh Bashem Yahushua have said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people.
So hey, in us being that temple, right? You know, you can't be to be a part of this world is to be given over to idols. That's something you come to the understanding of, is that when you accept these ways, right, when you try to, like the priest made mention of, seek to please men, right, when you do all these things, it comes with a level of idolatry that you have to partake in, man. Right, so it
Yep.
says what agreement, like it says in the NLT, what union can there be between the most high temple and idols? Right, there's no union there. Right? These things can't coexist, right? It has to be one or the other. And that's why we're seeing that separation take place, man. Right? It was supposed to
Hmm.
already be there, but we're watching the Lord make that separation between his elect and then the rest, man.
Right. Like a good example of that, you got people like in the world, that pretty much, that they do that operate different. You got Jake that, for example, you don't you don't gang bang, which that's the topic right now. You don't gang bang,
Right,
but
right,
then you
right.
get around niggas that do that. That goes against your moral upbringing, but to fit in, all right, you will change yourself to try to make yourself fit in around these people. And like I said, ultimately you're not being your true authentic self, man. You know,
Hmm.
and that's ultimately what Israel has done with these nations, because we aren't we aren't in the same ilk as the rest of these nations, especially the Edomites, man. 'Cause like you said, in order for you to really be in this society with these people, you have to subject yourself to some type of idol worship, man. All right, and
Hmm.
when you go into a lot of the customs that this world upholds, it goes directly against our way. Okay,
Exactly.
you want to keep going?
Oh yeah, you can read 17.
Kind. It says, "Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, save the Lord, and touch
Hmm.
not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and I will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, save the Lord Almighty."
Right. It say, come out from among them. Right. Be ye separate. Right. When you go, we read in that word integrate, it goes into to touch. Right. And like it says here, touch not the unclean. And what's the unclean? These taboo ways, man. Going back to that word, right? When you go back to that word for taboo, it says, uh, so like it says, forbidden, unclean, or cursed, right?
Mm.
Now, priest, could you grab that word touch in the blue letter?
Yeah.
Because what we're seeing right now is Jake, right? They're in concord, right? They're in agreement with wickedness, man. Right? When the Lord is telling us to let go of those things, turn away from those things, right? Separate yourself, right? Segregate yourself, right? Like you said, Esau turned that into a buzzword, right? They demonize it because they understand that in order to have complete control over Jake's mind, they need them to be immersed in these Edomite cultures, man.
Facts. So this is Strong's G 680. It says aptomai. I believe is how you say it. Haptomai. It
Mhm.
says to fasten oneself to adhere to, cling to. Definition C, of Levitical practice of having no fellowship with heathen practices,
Mhm.
things not to be touched appear to be both women and certain kinds of food. So celibacy and abstinence of certain kinds of food and drink are recommended.
Right. That's the point. That Levitical practice of having no fellowship with heathen practices, man. Right? Being ceremonially unclean. This is what happens when you partake in these ways, man. Why? Because you're giving yourself over to these idols, man. Right? You name the list of them, right? We went into a Bible study about the various Baals, right? All the things that fall into the list of Baals, all the things that fall into the list of Ashtaroth, right? All these gods we see that are perpetrated throughout pop culture, that are perpetrated throughout the media, right? We're seeing these things people give their worship over to, man, right? And we're being told not to practice or to practice having no fellowship with them at all, man, right? And that integration again, that's them wanting you to be a part of this world, right? Them them trying to fasten you, like we had here. It says fasten oneself to, adhere to. They're forcing you, right, or convincing you, because they're not really forcing you to, but they're using the minds of the people to peer pressure you into allowing these
Right.
things to become things you adhere yourself to, man.
Right. Because they'll tell you like a lot of the black culture stuff that we were raised up to do. That's like you said. It was manufactured to make us believe that that's
Yep. Let's see, I'm gonna kick the brother out. And until that brother comes back, so like you has some technical difficulties. But I just want to go back to this definition. Uh, it says to render for integrate in the Edom Online Dictionary. It says to render something whole, to bring together the parts of. So they want everybody to be brought together under these heathen customs, man. Right? They want everybody brought together in the fashion of wickedness. You know, it says to make whole, figuratively, untainted, upright, literally untouched, to touch. Right? So this is what we're saying. You don't touch these things, man. You don't adhere yourself to these ways, man. You know, and we're about to go into the history of Jake adhering to the ways of the heathen, man. Let's see, let's see here. It's a lot. I'm gonna grab a quick precept here. This is in Genesis chapter 3. There we go. All right.
yeah, Slovakia, man. Um, iPad died, so I'm on my phone until it come back up. So give me a second. But you go ahead.
Okay, okay, okay. This Genesis 3:3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High had said, "Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die." And this is what we're seeing right now, man. Jake is touching, they're like we read, they're adhering to these heathen practices, man. Now I want to get that word for touch real quick in the blue letter because it's a little bit different than the previous one. Right. So this is the word for touch, and it says naga, and it says here to touch, to lay hand upon, by implication to reach out, right? Because Jake is reaching out to be a part of these different ways, man. You know,
Right.
they think that they're missing out because they don't understand where their true power, their true value lies, man. You know, they've been separated from their power for so long that they think the way that Esau lives, the way that Moab lives, the way that Ham lives, right? These Cometics, out here, the way all these other nations live, they think those are the things to aspire to, man. Right? And like I said, Genesis 3:3, but of the fruit of the tree, going into the philosophies, which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High have said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it. Right? So you don't have any concord, you don't have any a part of this. It's like you don't have any part
Yeah.
of this, in the least. Right? It's at least you die. So your life is on the line, right, when it comes to this, man. Right?
Right.
When you integrate yourself into these ways, right? Going back to the idolatry, we're told not to worship any other gods, man. Right? So when you worship these other gods, by allowing yourself to be taken in these ways of the heathen, man, that's an automatic death sentence in most cases, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we can read that in the that Bridgeway commentary I sent.
For judges.
God,
All right.
we can start
So
in the second paragraph.
the Israel and his enemies.
No, where it's in the background, just the second section where it says
See.
during this period.
Okay, got you. All right. It says during this period, Israel's history developed a pattern that is repeated many times in the book of Judges.
Mhm.
Time and again, Israel turned away from the Most High, copied the religious practices of the Canaanites, became politically weak, and finally fell under the power of neighboring tribes or nations. But Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, who used these enemies to punish his disobedient people, was long suffering and merciful. In each case, he gave them in his time a deliverer from among their own people who overthrew the enemy and led Israel back to himself.
Right. And so this is what we're seeing right now. Now we're in the time of Judges as before, right? Israel developed a pattern that is repeated many times, and we watch these patterns repeat themselves and they continue to get worse and worse, right? It says they turned away from the Most High. They copied the religious practices of the Canaanites. Now, who would be the modern day Canaanites, man? It would be Esau, Edom, man. Right? They're the ruling influence in the earth at this moment, man. Right? So they've
Right.
copied those religious practices, which Esau, all he did was adopt, right, the practices of the Canaanites, and go more in depth into that witchcraft, right? It says
Uh-huh.
they became politically weak and finally fell under the power of neighboring tribes and nations. And what do we see? Jake is at the bottom, man. Right? Jake is politically weak. They have no power. They have no influence. Why? Because they refuse to separate themselves. So now they're just on the same accord as Esau Edom is. Right?
Right.
Now they get swept aside, and these other nations have been allowed to have ruling influence over them, man.
Con. If I could just add some context in there, just with some scriptural background.
Okay.
Because you said Esau is the modern day Canaanite now, right? So just showing that this is Revelation 11:8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also
Mhm.
our Lord was crucified. All right, because as we know, Sodom and Egypt, I believe both Canaanite or not Canaanite, well, both Hamites was living in that land. So at the
Mhm.
end of the day, that can be applied to Esau because he has took on the customs of the Canaanites, man. Okay,
Exactly.
because they the Canaanites was the first, the most, and then Egypt, as we know, this is bondage. All right, so that's just further showing you that Esau is taking on that role full force, man. All right,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
then I wanted to make something on here too because was you gonna read the third paragraph in that?
Con, yeah, we can go down to. I wanted to grab something real quick. I'm trying to
Oh,
find
go
this
ahead,
spot.
bro.
Um, I know I think it's Deuteronomy 7, where it talks
You good?
about. It's where the Lord told them not to be a part or to pretty much destroy the heathens' idols and their places of
Oh,
worship.
yeah, I got you. I think that's 7. Deuteronomy 7, and I will start at verse. Should I start at the top? The points in 5. Deuteronomy 7:1. When the Lord thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater than thou, it's like you're greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, no sure mercy unto them, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire.
Right. this is what we're seeing as we're reading in this commentary, right? This is the result of Israel not doing this, right? We're seeing they make the marriages, right? When you make a marriage, you're not only combining two people, you're combining two households, right? You're combining two
Right.
ways of life, right? That's why you make the marriages with Israelite women, but you have the heathen women as concubines, man, right? Because you're bringing that household. That's what happened to Solomon, right? He was making those marriages with the heathen women and allowing their customs, to be implemented in Israel, man, right? So what
Right.
we're seeing right now is that integration again, right? We're seeing that integration where all everyone wants to be combined. That what's it called? That melting pot spirit, right? Everybody wants to have a little bit of everything, mixed in, right? When the doctrine tells us, right, that you need to separate yourself from these things, or what, like it said, the Lord will destroy you suddenly, man.
Mm-hmm. Because if you keep going, verse 6, it says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord have thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." So the Lord plucked us out from amongst the other 17 nations, all right, and distinguished that we were going to be separate from them, man. All right.
Hmm.
So that right there is means to know that look, the Lord doesn't want us mingling amongst the rest of these nations, man. All right. He
Right.
separated us for a reason because it's like your children, when you for you brothers and sisters that have children, you don't want your children being, in the same, an alliance with children that of straight up niggas that's demons, because you know that they're
Hmm.
gonna corrupt them, and that's how the Most High viewed us, man, because he knew these other nations, they were vile, they were wicked, because you mentioned earlier about the marriages. Hey, when you go into a marriage with a woman, that's a covenant that you make between each other, man. All right, let's say
Yep.
you two become one, and that's what the Most High did with Israel as a whole, man. All right, we made a covenant that we was gonna worship Him and keep His commandments, man. We was gonna fear
Okay.
Him and keep His commandments. But these other nations, they don't care about Yahweh Bashim Yahushua because they have their own gods, man. They have their own
Hmm.
ways, which are filthy in the eyes of the Lord, man. So this is why we're not supposed to be, trying to be amongst them, man. You know?
Exactly. Exactly. God. We can. Was there anything else you wanted to get out of the commentary? Because we could jump down in a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. That's this last sentence. It says, "But Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, who used these enemies to punish his disobedient people, was long suffering and merciful. In each case, he gave them in his time a deliverer from among his people who overthrew the enemy and led Israel back to himself." Because as and when you go into Judges, like you said, it was a perpetual cycle that Jake would get
Hmm.
into, where Jake will continually go off. The Most High would judge us and put us under these nations, and we will begin to be sorrowful. We repent and call upon the Lord, and the Lord would deliver us. And then Jake would get proud again, and
Yep.
like I said, it's a broken wheel, man. And just to drive that point home, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 106 and 33. It says, because 34, it says, "They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works." And we know,
Hmm.
according to Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, the Lord told us, He commanded us to learn not the way of the heathen. Okay?
Hmm.
So clearly we disobeyed that. All right? It says, "But they were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood." Now, our people are still doing that to this day, but it's a,
Yep.
a more modernized version of it. So just because they're not physically, which they are still doing that too, but for the most part, now it's more, spiritually, you know, like you celebrate these holidays, that's you bringing your children through the fire. This is you sacrificing the idols, man. You doing these
Hmm.
different customs, eating certain diet. These are all idolatrous practices that we learn from being among the heathen, man. All right.
Exactly.
It says,
Hey, because so
therefore,
like
go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say one thing we know about Israelites is they're impressionable, right?
As hell.
You're right. And Jake is always gonna lean towards what looks the most fun, right? The most appealing to the eye, right? That's why we got to get out of these bodies, man, because we're all, subject to that. That's a demon that we all have to fight. Is to
Mm-hmm.
keep that flesh, tempered down, man, because that whole this the Esau's done a beautiful job of that diligent search, right, and perfecting, ways to entice Jake into wickedness, man. So
That's right.
now he makes it more even easier than ever before for Jake to go away and separate himself more from his power, man.
That's right. Verse 40. It says, verse 39, like it says, thus were they defiled with their own works, and went whoring with their own inventions.
Hmm.
Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled among his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance, and gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. Because we know, according to Baruch, was that I believe the fourth chapter, where the Lord
Hmm.
said that He didn't give us over to our enemies for our destruction, but because we moved in the wrath. All right,
Yep.
so everything that we read about and are currently experiencing right now was all due to our error, you know, nothing more. All right,
Exactly.
and so this is why the Lord is setting up men that's bringing the elect back unto Him, man. All right, because we're in the time of the Lord's mercy now, man. That anger, all right, has been pacified unto His elect, all right, or is getting pacified. Let me say that is
Right. Right.
getting pacified unto His elect because He has now opened up the chance for Jake to repent. All right, because we're about to read in verse 43. Okay, uh, this is what we're going through right now, man. It says, many times did he deliver them, but they provoked him with their counsel and were brought low for their iniquity, which is why this last time when the Lord, got fed up with us, he allowed these nations, specifically, Esau, Ishmael, and Ham, all right, to pretty much, get together and pretty much uh bring in the transatlantic slave trade. So when we got brought over here to America, the Lord was so angry with us, He took His name away from us. He took our culture away from us, man. All right, He left us completely destitute. All right, in His anger, man. Okay, but we're at a time now to where the Lord has put His Spirit back upon certain members of the elect. Okay, to wake up and to call back, come back to Him, which is what verse 44 is. It says,
Hmm.
nevertheless, He regarded their affliction when He heard their cry, and He remembered for them His covenant, and repented according to the multitude of His mercies, which is going on now. Which is why, as we said earlier, He has set up men, or as we read in this last sentence, a deliverer from among His own people who overthrew the enemy and led Israel back to itself. And that main deliverer, all right, is Yahweh Shai, man. Okay,
Yep.
because that's what Yahweh Shai is going to do. Is going to deliver us from the hand of our enemies and overthrow Esau Edom's kingdom, man. All right,
Hmm.
and but until we get to that point, the Lord has raised up certain men, which is heralding Yahweh Shai's return. Which I'll read this last one if I can.
Okay.
The last paragraph in this commentary, it says, these deliverers were called judges because they carried out the Most High's judgment in defeating the enemy and delivering His people. Other judges, less warlike, carried out Yahweh Bashim Shah's judgment by guiding the everyday affairs of His people according to the laws.
Hmm.
From these leaders, militaries as well as civilian, the book takes its name. Right. So some of them judges that we read about was people like Samson, Gideon,
Yep.
and just to name a few. But then, like I said, you had other judges who weren't warlike, but they, carried out the Most High judgment by guiding the everyday affairs of the people according to His laws, which ultimately is what we're doing now,
Yep.
because we have no power to go and physically, fight against, the heathen. All right, but we're doing that spiritually by bringing, all right, Israel back to the remembrance of the law, statute, commandments, man. All right, and I got
Yep.
two for that real quick.
Okay.
Um, this is Isaiah chapter 1, verse 26. It says, I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness, and that's what's going on right now, man. All right, the Lord is bringing back, all right, the judges as at before, which is the elect, all right, to pretty much call Israel back to repentance, so that we can, have righteousness be brought back into our nation, man. All right, and that's being
Hmm.
done through the teaching that we see, the men of the Lord, starting with the apostles of Great Millstone, the apostles, elders, and elder bishops of Great Millstone. All right, is teaching on the highways and byways, and through these videos. And the last one for you,
Exactly.
this this is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 21. And Savior shall come upon Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. And that's what I said earlier. We're heralding the return of Yahweh Shai, but ultimately we're going to be listed as saviors too, because we have been used to bring Israel back to remembrance. So therefore,
Hmm.
as we are heralding Yahweh Shai's return, we're also again giving our people, that the remembrance of who we are and what we have to look forward to, which is the kingdom of heaven, in which we will make all the nations be one, but under the law, statute, commandments of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, man. All right, where
Right.
then everybody will be on one accord, because the law, statute, commandments will be the standard of the world. All right,
That's
here
right.
in Esau's rulership, there is no standard, man. His standard is disorder. Okay, there is no order under this man's rulership. This is why, like you said, that great melting pot is nothing but great confusion, man. Which is why this place is called Babylon the Great, man.
That's right. God. Hey, just laying back enough what you brought out, right? Because the correct judges are being brought up, right? They're being raised up as we speak. You see them on the highways and hedges, week in and week out. You see them doing these video epistles daily, right? But who are we seeing, right, in the forefront of Jake, man? Right? It's the so-called nobles, the celebrities, right? These people of influence, and they're leading Jake, to nowhere, right? They're on a long bridge to nowhere, right? Now,
Right.
this is Jeremiah 14. I'll start in verse 1. It reads, the word of the Lord Yahweh that came to Jeremiah concerning the dearth, right? And the dearth is a lack, right? A great lack of something, right? It says, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are blackened to the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. And this is what we're seeing
Mm-hmm.
taking place, right? Is Jake is lacking right now, man. Right? There's a great lack of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? And that's why the Lord is setting up these judges, right, through the prophets, man, starting with our elder apostles and the men on down, man. Right? And like I said, the cry of Jerusalem is going up because we're doing what? Sighing and crying day in and day out, right? It says, and their nobles have sent their little ones to the waters, going into the people of influence, the people who have the power, right, in Jake communities, right, your politicians, your activists, your actors, and whoever Jake holds in high esteem, right?
Right.
It says the nobles have sent their little ones to the waters. They came to the pits and found no water. They returned with their vessels empty. They were ashamed and confounded and covered their heads. And this is what we're seeing. They're going out, into these different philosophies, these different ways. They're allowing themselves to be integrated right into these these heathen practices, right? And they're coming out like you see people who regret going into Kemet. You see people who regret going into Buddhism. You see people who regret going into Islam, right? That's them coming back because they found no water. They found no nourishment. They found no life, right, in any of those practices, man. Right? So they go
Mm-hmm.
out there because these people have told them, your Farrakhan's, your TD Jakeses, just going into Christianity and stuff of that nature as well, man, because people are, running from the church, right? Because it's on fire, right? It says,
Right.
it said they return with their vessels empty, right? Because they're not getting anything from these people, man. They're not getting any fulfillment from these places, man. It says they were ashamed and confounded and covered their heads. So that's the state that Jake is in right now, right? In the state of shame, right? And they're confused because they don't know where else to go. That's why the Lord has the men of the Lord out there, giving you the scriptures tell us, man. This is the way, walk ye in it, man. Right? They're telling
Mm-hmm.
you the correct way, like you read in the commentary, right? We're telling the people, like what it say? It said, uh, they were guiding the everyday affairs according to the law, right? To what the Lord has designed, right, for us to follow, man. Right. So the
Mm-hmm.
affairs are being directed, and we're showing the people where to go. all they have to do is accept it, man. But it's up to the Lord ultimately to open their eyes to these things, you know. But this
That's
is
right.
what we're seeing take place, right? Is, you know, just as in the book of Judges, right? Jacob's going into these various wayward doctrines, and they're finding themselves in a more depressed, destitute state than they were previously,
Mm-hmm.
man. Could you jump down to where it says the religion of the Canaanites? Because
Con.
we're seeing the results of that integration, right? And as we're reading to this is applicable to the Christian church or any of these other ways that, you know, the spirituality, you know, because Jake is applying, right, their spiritual sense, right, to false idols, man.
Right. It says Canaanite gods were known as Balaam, plural of Baal. It says, and goddesses as Ashereth, plural of Asheroth, plural of Ashereth, or Asarte, and Asherim, plural of Asherah. These were gods of nature and fertility, who, among other things, were believed to have the power to increase agricultural productivity. Since Israel knew Yahweh as the creator of nature, the people easily fell to the temptation to combine Canaanite ideas with their own and to worship Yahweh as another Baal.
Hmm.
The word Baal was a common Hebrew word that meant master, husband, or owner. And since the Israelites knew Yahweh as their master, husband, and owner, they further linked the Canaanite Baals with him.
Right. So in being tied together, right, in hand with these heathen, you know, Jake was taking what they knew as a true power and combining it with the heathen customs, man. And what do we see? Jake knows there's a higher power, right? But what do? They combine it with Christianity, right? They combine it with Buddhism. They combine it with Islam, right? They combine it with all these I believe in the ancestors or in the universe or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah,
They do all these things, but because they know that there's a power they need to serve, but because they're intertwined and they've been so intermingled with these heathen, right? They don't know that it's a greater power, right? They think that they can mix and match whatever whenever they see fit, man.
right. But that goes into the ignorance of
Yep.
Jake, not really knowing the origins of the things that they worship. Because
Mhm.
really, when you get into it, especially just dealing with the modern day aspect of how we are now, black culture is littered with idolatry, man. And you see
That's
our
right.
people trying to tie these things, especially you see a lot of these Jake that come into the truth. They try to tie these different things in with the truth, man. Like you have a lot of Jake that that don't deal with the camps, but they'll still, you got Israelite Christians. You still got Israelites that are tied, Islam, certain tenets of Islam, or different African customs with the truth, or just
Hmm.
straight up, just they live the same way as the niggas in the world, but they just acknowledge the fact that they're Israelites, man. That's why you have
Yeah.
to fully be separated. Be ye separate, man. Okay? And which is why I want to get
Hmm.
this real quick. This is Sirach chapter 5, verse 15. It says, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small, because like I said, everything about Babylon the Great is littered with idolatry. To the littlest thing that you didn't think was a big deal. Shit goes back to some type of idolatrous practice, man. Different things that different sayings we were brought up saying, different things we were brought up doing. All right,
Hmm.
things you celebrated, things that you didn't realize was some bullshit that you listen to, what you eat. All these things are tied to some type of idolatry, man. This is why the Lord commanded us not to be one with the heathen, man, because their ways are gonna get mingled up in our ways. And as we just read in this, Jake will be quick to mix some shit, man. You know.
Hmm. Con. Could you grab Proverbs 4 and start in verse 10, Baba Shah?
Mm-hmm. This is Proverbs chapter 4, verse 10. It says, "Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many.
Hmm.
I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, And when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life.
Right. We're being told, right, instructed in the ways of life, man. You know, any deviation in that is what? Death. You know, and we see Jake lives an anti-life lifestyle or death style, as brothers like to say, right?
Yeah,
So we're seeing them take part in these death styles. Why? Because they refuse to receive his sayings, right? They refuse to be taught the wisdom, right? They refuse to follow the right paths, right? The steps that they have that they take instead of being not straightened, right, which is not met with great difficulty. Jake is in a continual difficulties because they refuse the word of Yahweh Bashim Shai, man.
right.
Right? They like I said, when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. And we see Jake falling all over the place, man. Right? Falling
Yeah,
for everything. As scriptures talk about how uh, roughly paraphrasing their feet are quick to move to go to do evil, man.
yeah,
Right? So that Jake is running all to and fro, right, to accomplish whatever wickedness they can do. And or even worse, they're running to and fro to accept whatever doctrine or false ways, man. Right? Because they're seeking that comfort, they're seeking that protection, they're seeking that peace of mind, that they won't get unless they accept the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai.
right. Because a lot of that goes into our people not, totally letting go of the things of the world, man. As scripture say, it
Exactly.
was that First Corinthians, the I think it's the third chapter, about how the Lord made the wisdom of this world foolishness.
Yep.
And see, Jake tries to come into this truth, still trying to hold on to a westernized way of thinking, and this is where they stumble at, man. Because a lot of the
Hmm.
things that we read, if you're not fully being persuaded in your own mind, which you are pretty much doing that by looking up things yourself. That's why the scriptures say, "Study to show thyself approved." And then
Yep.
over time, as you begin to get built up in the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, that's how you become persuaded in your own mind. But if you are just, surface level, just okay, I know I'm an Israelite, and you're still just doing the things of the world, you're not going to fully understand when you come to something in the scriptures, and you're like, hold up, what the hell,
Right, right.
Jake, that's Jake's problem, man, because they're still trying to hold on to old ways, man. You gotta let this world go and fully come
Hmm.
into your how about Shemal Shah because, hey, when you get into our custom, it's some hard shit in here, man. And I don't mean to call it shit, but it's just it's some rough stuff, man. All right, and that's the thing with
Hmm.
the Bible. Everybody has been conditioned to think the Bible is just this nice book. No, this book is harsh. You know,
Hmm.
some of the ways. It's good things in the scriptures as well, but then there's other ways that's harsh, man. All right.
Right.
So when it
Hey,
comes to,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say the scriptures are gonna challenge you, right? We've been
Yeah,
we've been immersed in this Western way of thinking for so long that we still to this day you might come across things that's like, ooh, that's like it's tough to hear because your mind is still being reprogrammed, man. Right?
right,
You're
right.
still coming out of those ways, right? And that's why, like you said, it's important to fully let go, right? That goes into the faith that you have in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, because you know that in letting go of something else, you're trusting that there's something for you to fall into, man. And and
Yeah,
that's the spirit of the Lord, man.
yeah. Because like I said, you trusting in something better. Because when you fully let go, like you said, that's you putting trust in your how about Shem Shah for him to show you a better way, and that's what this truth does, man. Which is
Mhm.
which is why, like, a lot of the stuff that, like I said, Jake clings to, and it's because of an emotional standpoint. When you read
Right.
the scriptures come from a logical point of thinking, man. All right, you
Hmm.
understand as you grow in the faith that why the Lord says to do certain things, why certain judgments are like that, because it's all about long term consequences, long term,
Yeah.
ways of thinking. All right,
Right.
here in this world, this westernized world, we have been made to think like Esau, which is very, you know, instant, short term. You don't think about the
Yeah.
consequences later on down the line, man. And that's why
Hmm.
a lot of people get hung up on the emotion of it instead of just like seeing the bigger picture. The truth teaches
Right.
you how to look at the bigger picture, man.
Hey, like you said, they you get hung up on the emotional aspect of things because you're taught to think in a single-minded mindset, right?
Right.
You're
Right.
thinking individualistically, right?
Yep.
Instead of thinking for the nation as a whole. That's why, like you said, the Lord made decisions that to the individual, right, might hurt, but in the grand scheme of things, it's benefiting generations, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you see things that took place in the scriptures that might with a Western mindset, don't make sense. But as soon as you put that away and you think about things in a, like you said, a more logical state of mind, you're like, okay, that's why that had to happen the way it happened, right? Or that's why this has to be a law set in place, it's for if it takes place in the future, man. So the
Mm-hmm.
Lord, everything in the scriptures is written, in perfection. It's not
Right.
a, it's nothing to question. You know, if you feel a certain type of way about something, then you have to pray to the Lord to reveal that understanding to you, man. Right? Because the scriptures aren't going to change. Right? The
Right.
the ways of the Lord aren't going to change. It's you who has to make the change, man.
Yeah. Because like I said, this book was around way before we were, man. You
Hmm.
know it. You have people that say, well, it wasn't, wasn't written. Like you have a lot of Kemet niggas. Well, the Bible wasn't around.
Right.
But it was orally. It just got written on paper when Moses came on the scene, man. All right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we understand when you come into this thing, you have to consume the whole roll, man. All right, real
Hmm.
quick. This is Ezekiel 3:1. Moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat that. Thou, matter of fact, I'm gonna read the end of 2 and go into 3. Ezekiel, the second chapter, the 8th verse. It says, "But thou, son of man, hear what I say unto thee. Be not thou rebellious like that rebellious house. Open thy mouth and eat what I give thee. And when I looked, behold, an hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein, and he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written therein lamentations, mournings, and woe." And that's, hey, these people don't think the Bible has bad stuff written in it, man. All right, because
Hmm.
through your Christian church, all right, you have been spoon fed prosperity, since you were born. All right, and then that bullshit ass prosperity doctrine has been, spoon fed throughout generations to where Jake is drunk off the Kool Aid, man. All right,
Yeah.
they don't want to deal with the bitter, you know. But at the end of the day, we gotta eat the whole raw, as they're gonna say. Ezekiel 3:1. Moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and speak unto the house of Israel. And he said, eat the roll. Don't eat part of it. Don't eat, the parts that you feel like you like. No, you eat the whole roll, man.
Yeah.
Okay? And go speak to the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth and caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, son of man, cause thy belly to eat and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as sweet as it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. And he said unto me, son of man, go get thee unto the house of Israel and speak with my words unto them, for thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech or of an hard language, but to the house of Israel. And you notice he keeps specifying the house of Israel. This wasn't sent to the whole world, all right? Because the Lord is calling his people back, all right?
Yeah.
He's beginning that segregation again, all right, from us and the rest of the heathen, man, all right? Not too many people of a strange speech and of an hard language, whose words thou canst not understand. Surely I had said unto thee, thou would have hearkened. It's like, surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me, for all the house of Israel are impudent and hard hearted. So even the Lord knew that, look, if he sent us to the other nation and be like, look, the kingdom of heaven is only for you, all right, I'm only dealing with you, and fuck the other nations, everybody else would be like, cool. It's only
Right.
Israel. It's only Israel that's like, nah, man, we gotta save everybody. When everybody else is like, nah, fuck you niggas, man. So
Right.
that shows you the stupidness and hard headedness of our people, man. Which is why, like we are going to 2/3 gotta go
Yeah.
because they refuse to repent, man. They don't want to accept the fact that we're different, that we're above these nations. All right.
That's it. God. You can go back to that Proverbs. You can read 14 and 15 about Pusha.
Yep. Proverbs 4:14. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not into the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn away from it, and pass away.
Right.
For
So it's like
good.
that's pretty much the point. You know, avoid it. Right. Enter not into the path of the wicked. Right. Enter not into the ways of these heathen. Right. Enter not into a covenant and agreement. Don't be hand in hand with the ways of these heathen nations, man. Right. Because it's gonna lead you into idolatry, man. So that's why the Lord is telling us, man. Enter not into the path of the wicked. Go not in the way of evil men. Right. Because we see Jake following behind Esau, right? They see what they do and they think, oh, well, that's the way you prosper. No, that's the way he prospers. You can't prosper like that. The same way you see Jake following after the customs of Moab and Ham in the diets, right? It's like they can do that. You can't do that.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
avoid it, right? If you could read that in the NLT, 14 and 15,
Yep. It says, "Don't do as the wicked do, and don't follow the path of evildoers. Don't even think about it. Don't go that way. Turn away and keep moving."
right? Don't even think about it, man. Right? Don't even accept this as a possibility, man. Right? You can't even think about doing the things that these people do, man, because you're better than them ultimately, man. Right? You're designed to be separate from them. And you see, Jake does better when they separate themselves. They might not come into their full understanding of their heritage and belief in Yahweh Shem Shai, but even you see Jake that change their diets, right? They change the things that they consume, whether it be in the media, right? They change the way they move around, right, and move in a more righteous manner, right? They start to have a better life, So how much more when you truly come into knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man?
Right. And if I can add to you, because the reason that is because it's naturally in our spirit to elevate. All right. These heathens don't have a spirit, man. I mean,
Right.
they have a soul, but they, as you can tell, these heathens are very dull. All right. It's the spirit that's in Jake. All right. That just makes you when you fully tap in and focus in on whatever craft that Jake is into, you excel at it because that's in our
Hmm.
people to be great because we're the sons of God, man. You know,
That's it.
so how much more when you tap into that with the knowledge and understanding of Yahweh by Shem Shai, you become godlike, man. Jake become gods, all right, in in the worldly sense, man. So how much more when you actually tap into the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of these scriptures, man. All right, you
Facts.
you literally gain the power of the world.
Con, con. Could you get uh Revelation 22 and read 11 and 12, Baba Kushal?
Mm-hmm. Revelation chapter 22 and 11. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still, and he which is filthy, let him be filthy still, and he that is righteous, let him be righteous still, and he that is holy, let him be holy still.
Hmm.
And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be.
Right. And part of that work is separating yourself from this place, man. Right.
Facts.
Let them be them. Right. Let the unjust be unjust. Let the filthy be filthy. Right. But the righteous are gonna be righteous. Right. The holy, meaning separate, are gonna be what? Separate. You're not gonna be intertwined with this stuff, man. Right. You're not gonna find yourself intermingled among these people. Scriptures talk about when thou be amongst the indiscreet. Right. Observe the time, right? You don't have time to be wasting tied up in the ways of this world, man. And what happens when you get tied up in it is you become subject, to that overthrow, right? The spirits eventually, will start to attach themselves onto you, man. That's why you have to separate yourself. You have to avoid these things, like I said in that Proverbs, man. You gotta turn away from and pass away. Don't walk. Don't even walk by it. You know. You gotta treat it like you treat niggas on the street. You know. You see them coming, and you cross over to the other side,
Go
right? You
the
don't
other
even
way.
want. you know. But like I said, man, let him be holy still that is holy, right? Let him be righteous still that is righteous, man. So
Mm-hmm.
you and separating from your from this place, man. you allow yourself to build up in the spirit. Like you may mention, priest, Jake, Israelites are the only ones who have the ability to get up to a higher level of spirituality, man.
That's
Right?
right.
So why would you not want to tap into that?
Jake is rebellious.
Yeah,
That's all it
exactly.
comes down to is just rebellion.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
Jake wants to try to do things their own way, and as history has shown, that never works out well for us, man.
exactly. God. We can get that First Thessalonians 5 and 22 and 23, and then we can close with that unless you have anything else.
First Thessalonians 5:22.
Okay.
All right. First Thessalonians 5:22. Abstain from all appearance of evil,
Mhm.
and the very power of peace. It's like it, and the very power of peace sanctify you wholly. And I pray Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless until the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah Hamashiach.
Right. So in order to be preserved blameless, right, you got to do what? Abstain from all appearance of evil, man. That word abstain mean, man? To stay away from, right? Don't be integrated into these things. Don't be intermingled among these things. Don't be, like we read in that, don't touch not the unclean thing, right? Don't touch
Uh-huh.
these things. Don't allow these things to be a part of your life, man, right? It's a continual battle to cut things off, right? But in doing so, like I said, your whole spirit and soul and body will be preserved blameless until the coming of Yahweh Shai, man. Right? So this is what we try to do to be found blameless in the eyes of the Lord, man. Right?
Right.
We separate ourselves from all appearance of evil, all idolatry, right? All wickedness, in order to be found blameless of the Lord, man.
Uh-huh. Keep going.
That was pretty much the point.
Con.
But
Yeah.
like we tied the lesson, man, integration, right? Going into, being tied to or in touching something, right? Being a part, right, of this Western society, right? It's always been a part of history, man. It's always led to idolatry, So it's your responsibility of receiving this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to separate yourself, man, right? Abstain from these ways, right, and build your relationship with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right, that you
That's right.
may be found blameless, man.
That's right. Hell yeah.
But hey, we pray that this was edifying through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. I want to close by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh,
Yahweh
Bahashem Yahweh
Bashem
Shai,
Yahushua
Bahashem
Bashem
Kadash.
Hakodash.
Double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone who rule well and teach well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom,
Shalom.
shalom.